right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of The Brighter Side of Blue. I'm Check.
I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
All
How
right.
about that?
Check.
Good group.
Check
You're ready.
is here.
You're ready ahead of the game, brother.
Thanks, JJ.
Danny's in trouble. Yeah, I'm kind of ticked off right now.
You know,
Why is that? Well, hold on a second. We got to introduce the fact that Tom Malachek is a co-host this week.
I was
Um,
that's what got me ticked off. You see this? See what I'm wearing?
no, you have the apparel.
This
You're
is what
right.
Danny wears every week. So I thought his mother's not feeling well. He's not going to make it, and we pray for her. And she's 93 years old. She's our number one fan.
Mhm.
So I'm a little, I feel for Dan. I hope everything turns out right. But when Tom called me today and said Danny's not making it, I'm thinking, I put this on, thinking I'm stepping up, brother.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I find out you're taking over.
I'm sorry. I just got the call. They made the call to the bullpen, called the lefty out, and here I am. So
I think
I don't know.
There's a little bit of bullshit.
I think
but
you do a great job.
Whatever.
producer
That's
John's
just-
I don't know.
executive producer.
I don't.
Who?
He's
Hey,
executive
Tommy. Whose
producer.
decision was not to let me take Danny's spot?
It was internal.
It was unanimous.
Unanimous. I knew
It
that.
was an internal unanimous
Unanimous.
decision.
That's okay.
Including Huggy. He
I
had
like
the last
being the
vote.
I like being the sidekick.
What an honor, though. Thanks, fellas. I appreciate
No,
it.
we would
No,
we'd love to have you here.
You know what?
big shoes to fill.
And I gotta be honest, Danny's in trouble. The
Thank
old
you, JJ.
the
I appreciate
the
it.
Wally Pitt story.
Pitt.
Well,
Pip.
Pip,
Pip.
Wally Pip.
Pip.
What did I say?
Pitt.
I might have said that. Wally Pip.
Wally Pitt.
But those that aren't baseball fans, Tom, you got to explain what the Wally
Yeah.
Pip is.
And he sat out a game, and Lou Gehrig took over and never gave that thing up.
Danny's in
All
trouble.
right.
So never know.
Well,
You never know.
What's
No,
Dan-
I'm just
if that-
filling in.
If
I'm
that
filling
happens,
in.
what's Danny's? He's going to be he'll come in early and set the shit up, or what?
We'll let producer John, as we go, we'll let producer John maybe reassign people at the end of the segment here.
Yeah, that's according to how well the segment goes as to what you might end up having for a job.
There you go.
Fair. That's fair.
All right.
But
All right.
as you guys all know, and obviously know by now, is Danny's not here, and as JJ said, his mom is she's sick, and but as our show is very big on family, and Danny and his family have been close to John over the years, and I know several of the brothers. I don't know everybody, and JJ is the same way as I am. But Mrs. Howard has 7 kids, Danny included, and she is Grammy to 19
Wow. How about that?
and great Grammy to 5 others.
Wow.
Wow.
So we're rooting for her. Our prayers are with the entire family.
Absolutely.
And as a family, the Howard might be the biggest listening family
Really?
because we get a lot of messages from people with Howard in their name.
Right.
So yeah, we're rooting. Good luck to all of them, and we're praying for them.
We're praying for him. No
100%,
doubt. 93. It's a good run, man.
And our number one fan.
Yeah,
From the
no
get-go,
kidding.
from
Our
show
first
one.
listener, our only listener in the first few weeks.
I'm sure.
We had
I'm sure.
nothing going.
I'm
Nothing.
sure.
Now, where are we? How many listeners? How many countries? Where are we?
We're doing pretty well.
Are we?
Jack's going to
Okay.
tell us in a little bit, but we don't need it right this second
Why not?
because we're just not there yet.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I,
You know what we
I
have-
thought I'm calling the shots. I
Ah,
thought I'm in the chair.
kind of. let's just call it kind of.
Is it
All right.
necessary to name all the countries? And
No, I didn't say all the countries. Just give me a number.
So you're trying to be
I know.
Danny, but it just doesn't come out right.
No, I'm not. I'm definitely
Yes.
not trying to be
you're
Danny.
you're
okay?
you're way
I'm not-
better.
No.
You're way better than
Thanks,
Danny.
AJ. Thanks, brother. All right.
But
forget
what we
the-
like to
forget
do at the
listeners.
beginning
I
of
thought
the
maybe-
show
What?
is, and we started it last week, is our mission statement's very important to us.
Absolutely.
And this week's we have a sponsor for the
Oh,
mission statement.
Really? Who might
Come
that be?
Thank goodness.
Come on now,
Who might that be?
Jeff Jensen
Oh,
and his firm Hush Blackwell.
yeah.
They are they're down with our mission, and like we said, we're going to read that mission and Jeff used to be the AUSA.
He was
an
the
AUSA
USA.
and then the USA.
Yeah.
So go ahead and Tommy, why don't you tell everybody our mission statement?
You got it. The mission statement is that our podcast is to build a platform to memorialize some of the great police work and stories of the past and present, to spotlight some of the investigations, as well as the personalities that have dedicated much of their lives to public service. to humanize our law enforcement personnel, to create positivity about law enforcement and the public perception of the profession, and to have a lot of fun along the way.
Perfect.
That's well said.
Well,
job.
and can I add one thing?
Yep.
That you dropped the ball big time.
Yep. I
No,
did.
no politics.
No politics.
No politics.
That's what we're
There
going
you
to
go.
do.
Yeah.
That's a
Great
pretty
message.
powerful statement. A lot of people are really behind that. And we really appreciate it. One of the things that I want to point out, we started this podcast on November the 3rd, about 4 months ago. And we started with 0 followers. And our launch plan was to record a podcast and just text out the link to a bunch of our friends.
Mm-hmm.
And, and Jack will tell you where we're at. And Jack, if you want to get ready, to tell us where we're at. But
Did I not just ask this question?
but I wasn't
30
ready
seconds
for it.
ago?
Why don't you just see? JJ might be rooting for you. But I think I want Danny back.
I just asked this question.
No, but we
Go ahead, Jim.
I stopped listening to both of you a while ago.
see how we are here. This is some serious. Danny, hurry.
Go on.
Danny, I hope your mother gets well soon so you can get back here. And but anyway, again, we started with 0 followers on anything on November 3rd, and we are over 1,500 followers on our social media. And we've had Jack come on here recently. And Jack, tell us what we're doing on our social media.
Definitely. You mind if I go off script real quick?
Absolutely.
If you got any ladies out there, I'm on the market. So I just wanted to pin myself out real
The
quick.
dating game.
Well,
all right.
Yes.
I like it, Jack.
Yeah,
All right.
I figured
Great
I'll take this
move.
opportunity. We're getting to 1,000 on Facebook. We're approaching 500 on YouTube. You can find us if we really want you on YouTube. The Brighter Side of Blue. That's all you got to do is look it up and search it in and hit that little subscribe button.
I think producer John might want to add to the availability of Jack.
Yeah, Jack, if you're going to start putting those kind of statements out, you have to sponsor that segment yourself.
Hey, here's how we can do this.
$1,500 a show.
When we first have our live show, have him be up there and the girls can bid on him.
Damn right.
And whatever
Yeah.
much money he raises goes to the show.
We got Huggy
Great
in the
idea.
background.
Don't forget Huggy.
Huggy's a pimp.
Huggy's a pimp.
Gen Z PIMP, baby. So we'll have Huggy auction him off at our first live, but we might do that at Barney's.
There you go. Are you down for that, Jack?
Yep.
That's awesome.
So
If-
good
Hey,
luck.
if my
Good
wife
job,
bids
Jack.
on you,
Jack's 24,
I'll be mad.
serious
No.
in the gym. But no,
My wife bids on him. I'm throwing money. Yeah. God, do it.
You're in trouble, Chuck.
No, I love her. I love her to death. She knows it.
so John, didn't you have something that you wanted to say about Jeff Johnson? You told me you needed something. You wanted to say something about him.
Well, yeah, it segues into that Jeff used to be a FBI agent, and then he became a lawyer and went to the United States Attorney's Office. And the first case he handled was one that was spearheaded by Tom Sawyer, a stolen property case. We talked about, I think, on a prior show, but just these guys were stealing all kinds of stuff. Well, Jeff, they took it to the U.S. attorneys and they're putting the complaint together, and this guy wasn't going to go against the U.S. attorney's office, so he wanted to plead guilty. Well, there's only one problem. Tom Sawyer had no police report, no documentation, no anything, and so Jeff didn't know Tom, and he barely knew me just from running to him a few times, and he just said, "John, can you please get your guy to write this report?" He goes, "Everything's lined up," and Tom, what happened from there?
Actually, the problem was.
The problem was you didn't write a police report.
No,
was the problem.
Hold on. There was a lot of
You applied on
extenuating
notes?
circumstances. No,
He applied on
here's what happened. So it was a dope search warrant, and the guy had a lengthy record. So, and we nailed it on the dope. We got in there. The dope was in there. Got a gun. He had like $12,000, $15,000 somewhere in there, and but the basement was loaded with stolen goods.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking like stolen out of a house, used stolen, like right off the train or right out of the store, tags on it, nice stuff. So writing the dope case would have been no big deal. But we pulled up and it came up in another show. We pulled up with the, remember that box truck that used to park in between the headquarters?
Yeah.
And this box truck could hold a lot of stuff. So we had that thing come out to the search warrant, and we loaded that thing. Every nook and cranny of that thing was filled with stolen property. So I wrote the search warrant. So now I'm basically the guy that's got to write this report.
Right.
And Anderson and Mark Gurman were of no help. They were like, we're not letting you out of this. They failed to help. And then I'm not saying they should have, but
Yeah.
you know how a lot of times I would hold out until somebody just wrote the thing. It wasn't happening in this particular situation, and we parked the truck over by the dumpsters where it was just off, but they needed a truck back after like 4 or 5 days. So then John started getting calls about that truck. So give us that truck back. Well, then shit rolls downhill. So now I got the U.S. attorney calling them for the report. They want their truck back. And when I'm saying there was nice stuff in this truck, there was nice stuff in it. So I'm not saying it was my idea. I was with 2 other guys who remain nameless. I think I just named them anyway. But anyway, the idea came to me let's finish myself out, is that we would put it out on the lawn. There was a big lawn in the back of the police station.
And have a yard sale.
Put the property, the stolen property.
We put it all out there. And then someone put a sign on there and it says, just trying to help the needy. And we went to lunch for like 3 hours.
You're kidding me.
There was a lot of property when we came back. It just wasn't much. So it made the job a little easier.
I can't, John, you're still friends with him.
That's a good one. I never heard that one.
I did not condone that.
That irresponsible.
No, you didn't. You didn't even know about it till now. I don't think.
Yeah, right.
I just thought
Irresponsibility.
But I think it's good police work, though.
It was-
respect.
because he wasn't going to jail on the stolen property.
No, makes
The
sense.
stolen property had no.
That makes sense.
He had like
No.
5 ounces of crack and a pistol. He had that stolen property was the least of his worries, but it was a huge worry for the person writing the report. That's
Yeah.
a big.
Oh, yeah.
All this property, you can't just say we had a bunch of property and take a picture of it.
And
Every single piece has to
Yeah,
be
they go.
listed.
And poor Jeff Jensen, this is his first case, and he's sitting here.
He's probably learning a lot tonight.
waiting for this report.
He's going to stop sponsoring this.
Yeah. This
I
is
think
Let's
we
just
already
give him
got
his
it.
money
We
back.
already got his
no
check.
doubt.
We already cashed his check.
No doubt. Yeah. That's a good story. Never heard that one.
You know what? I always hear, I find you somewhat irresponsible, but it just never ceases to amaze me, brother. That's unreal. I'm sorry, Tom.
What else we got, Tommy?
I don't know.
I'm trying to help you out here.
But no, coming up, as you guys heard the last show, and we're going to keep pimping it, and we're going to put it on our social medias here this week, is we are going to be on March the 28th. We're going to be recording at Barney's at 6027 Chippewa, and our main topic that night is going to be the Central Patrol Detective Bureau in the era that producer John was down there and I was down there. And we're also going to have John Heffley, who is,
Oh, man.
those who
That'll
know
be great.
him,
That'll be great.
He's very, very funny and humorous and tells great stories. And we're also going to have Mickey Regan, 24
Oh,
years in the Bureau.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's going to be a fun show. And then after the show, we're going to have producer John's going to come to the table, and anybody that's there who wants to tell a quick story, or, you know, we've talked about some of Vince Stalen's pranks over the years, and
Yeah.
good prank stories and funny stories. And producer John will have different questions. And like the mission statement says, we want to memorialize a lot of stuff. And then a lot of times in a podcast, we want to kind of keep it short, even though I get to rambling every once in a while. But we kind of want to keep it structured. But we also want to memorialize those stories that are out there that we're just not covering here. And we're going to put those out just on YouTube, right, Jack? Just on YouTube. And what we're going to do is try to cut those into like 10-minute clips of different segments. And I think that'll be pretty
That'll be great.
entertaining.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
And then now we've got one more sponsored segment.
I wonder if you're going to get to me.
I was wondering the same thing, actually.
Introduce him, Tommy.
He's a mic hog. Oh. Is this the Zen?
Yeah,
You doing
introduce
Zen?
him.
I don't-
Yeah. We get cue it up there, Johnny.
All right, listen, this is sponsored, the first sponsor of the show, I believe, right?
Huh?
Yes.
Ed Messplay, my buddy, high school friend. He sponsored this segment. It's from American Republic Insurance Services. It's your local Medicare and health care specialist. He's been doing it for 25 years. He's a great guy. He's the best. And his number, if you need any help with your Medicare or health insurance, call Ed Messplay. It's 636-240-8530. And my Zen moment is I never lose. Either I win or I learn. And anybody said that? Anybody know who said that?
Say that again, please.
I never lose. Either I win or I learn.
You're kidding. That's
Pete
easy.
Rose.
That's easy.
No.
No. That's Nelson Mandela.
Danny's out.
That's old.
Is that
Shut up.
Tom.
Shut up.
That's
You
an old
looked at
one.
my notes.
I did not look at your notes.
I don't have it written down there. So
No, everybody knows.
How did you know that, Chet?
I can tell you this.
CBC, baby.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
I can tell you what. My vote for him over Danny just went up.
All right.
Well, he's going to spoil all your quiz.
That's pretty impressive. That's
Thank
pretty-
you. No, I did hear that.
I never
did know
lose.
that.
Either I win or I learn.
Yeah.
That's
Nelson
you were
Mandela.
I thought you were setting us up on who said it.
no. I gotta get better on my Zens.
I mean,
That's good.
Great quote.
Let me ask you guys a question.
But
That's
I mean, how was your commute in today?
I was good. I had no issue.
Angry horns,
No, it was all good.
Rage
Okay.
free.
Rage free.
Rage-free.
Traffic was good. There's
no polite
tra-
waves, anything.
No, I've learned.
That's good.
So you want my joke?
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's hear it.
So this guy's sitting on a plane. He's on a plane to go to Las Vegas, and he's sitting in his seat. Plane's starting to fill up, and here comes this beautiful gal walking towards him. And then all of a sudden, she just sits next to him, and he's like, "Oh God!" So he's trying to think what he can say to her, and he says, "Are you going to Vegas on business or pleasure?" She goes, "Well, I'm going for business." And he goes, "Well, what kind of business do you do?" She says, "Well, I'm a sexual therapist, and we're having a convention." And he's like, "Oh, really?" He goes, "Well," and she says, "I'm giving a speech." And she says, "Oh, what are you giving a speech on?" He says, "Well, I'm talking about breaking the stereotypes that are out there in the sexuality world." And he's like, "Yeah, for example, what?" He's, "Well, it's out there that black males are the most well endowed." But she says that's not true. It's the American Indian that is actually the most well endowed. The guy's like, "Oh, okay." And then she says, and another thing is they think that the French are the most passionate lovers and the best lovers. She says, "Well, that's not true. It's actually the Jewish men." And he says, "Oh, okay." And she says, "Oh, just another interesting fact is that the American redneck has the most stamina." And the guy's like, "Wow, that's pretty wild." And then she says, "Oh, I'm sorry." She says, "I've been just rambling on." She says, "What's your name?" And he says, Tonto Rosenberg. My buddies call me Billy Bob."
That's nice. He covered all his bases.
Well, that's my
I
joke.
like it. That's a good one.
That is
Yeah.
my joke.
No, that was good.
John, you got a news article of the week for us?
Yeah, we're going to go back 75 years this time. Last week it was 50, but it was the week of March 15th, and this kind of just shook the city. Here's the headline: "Woman hits wrong man with hammer in a row at a party." So there was a party at the home of Helen Frangen and Arlene Frazier. And back then, they used to put your occupation in the article. They were sales clerks at a store on Dolman. But the party was broke up at 1:30 a.m. when a woman guest hit the wrong man in the head with a hammer, police reported. So anyway, one of the hostesses was talking to a man, Oliver Huff, who was a bartender on Gravois, he made a remark that she said was insulting, so she slapped him. Well, seeing that, William Liebman, one of the friends, started rolling up his sleeves, and I guess he was going to fight to defend the honor of Miss Frangen. So Liebman's wife, well, several other people got in to kind of break it up, and Liebman's wife, Dorothy, slipped out to the kitchen, and she went and got a hammer. So she returned to the front room and swung the hammer at Mr. Huff. But of course, it missed Mr. Huff and broke up one of the peacekeepers, Mr. Myers, who dropped to his knees on the floor. Someone called the police, and then he was taken to City Hospital, which luckily was only a couple blocks from there. So needless to say, Mr. Mays got hammered at this party.
And he only got locked up for peace disturbance? Or?
Yeah, it was a peace disturbance.
3rd District.
Yeah, back then.
Yeah.
I thought it was rage cleaning. Good start.
It was kind of rage cleaning with a hammer.
It can't lead to that.
So anyway, 75 years ago in our beloved city, this kind of nonsense was going on.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
That's good.
Boom.
Beautiful. And then, you guys got anything else?
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
I'll tell you what,
Good.
we had a great.
Other
I
than
got,
a big thank
I got
you,
one
can
more
I-
thing. real
Okay.
quick.
Can I thank
Go
you?
ahead.
Ed Mess Play for your insurance, health, medical,
Yep.
health insurance, 636-240-8530.
Perfect.
Thanks, Ed.
Thanks. Hey, it's
Go ahead.
it was no. I was just going to thank you.
Great.
Guys. It's an honor for filling in for Danny.
Oh, you'll be here
Um,
next week.
And all kidding aside, we're praying for Mrs. Howard.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hope she does well.
One last thing is that coming up, we have Shane Monig is the Officer of the Week, and just to let you guys know how we tape. So earlier we taped with Shane Monig, the Officer of the Week, and with Al Moore, our featured guest of the week. Had some great times with them, but then we taped this after that, just so you guys know. And these interviews that you guys are going to hear with Shane Monig as the Officer of the Week and Al Moore, we had a lot of fun. And I just want to just stop here to thank these guys, because we really don't say thank you at the end. But thank these guys for coming in, and they're really down, are really for our mission. I say down for the mission.
Down
But when
with.
you call these guys, what's really nice, and I know producer John will say the same, is producer John and I call a lot of these guys prior to them coming on. And just the stories you hear, and a lot of times you don't even hear them on here, but the stories you hear and the excitement they have for what we're doing is really special to us. And one last one that I'll add. So we got an email from Kenny Newsom not too long ago.
Classmate.
Yep. And Kenny is now living out in Florida, but he sent us an email that just said, "Hey, listening to the podcast, found it." He goes, "I miss home, but you guys make it to where I don't miss it as much. And I feel
that's
like I'm
great.
sitting at the bar talking." So that was kind of cool. You know,
That is cool.
Kenny's a first class guy.
Yes,
Always
he
has been.
you know, and
Awesome,
I just
man.
want to, and I'm sorry for rambling, but this show does mean a lot to us. We want to really get this message out there and continue to grow it. And so that I'll end with that, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Good work.
See you.
See you, boys.
Thank you.
Decided I was going to be a police officer. No other police officers in my family. When I tried to get out of the city, they offered me at almost my 20th birthday, they offered me a communications job. I didn't know what the hell communications was.
Right.
Mikey Bueller had dated one of my cousins.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Here we
Mikey
go.
Mueller.
No comment on that.
And
Here we go.
Mikey
No.
was my steam, right? Mikey was my steam.
Is
and
she
I
doing
said-
okay?
Yeah.
yeah.
Poor girl.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So he was my steam, and at that time, his steam could only get me communications. And they said, just do this for 6 months. Ultimately, I ended up going to St. Charles County's Academy. When I was there, the commandant or the director of the academy said, "Why do you want to do this?" And I said, "I'd rather ride in the front seat than the back seat." And
Good choice.
yeah, he said I was.
Doesn't move.
It was smart. You know what I said. It was honest, and
Mhm.
so I started the academy in '97, and here I am.
You're currently part of the major case squad.
I am.
How long have you been there?
Officially, probably since 12, but been dealing with cases with this major case squad since 1999. probably.
We'll get into a particular case from the case squad here in a minute, but I got one of we got Shane's right up here that he got from his commanders, and one of the stories involves a shooting where two coworkers got into a little beef, and they literally, where's the beef? And it was at the fast food restaurant.
It was, yeah.
What was the beef over, dude?
An old head that had been through the system, came out. He's a little reformed. He gets his job, and
a little reformed.
Well,
half reformed.
He's all right. He's a good guy. You know, he's doing his thing.
Right.
And some of these young kids that work there, they're just more being respectful, kind of being jerks, assholes around the female manager and the people working there. And he tried to put them in check, and told them knock it off. They said, well, let's go outside. And when the older guy is mid-40s, he's like, all right, I'll meet you outside. One guy goes and gets the AR pistol. The other guy gets another gun. And the female manager sees it, and she tries to get in between them and, over and gives the old 1-2, boom.
The old head?
Yeah, he shoots the old head. And he's like, they shot me. Yeah, so, yeah, it's just silly.
Yeah.
Silly. It's where we are in society.
So how did it end? Did they kill him?
No, he didn't die.
But you locked those two up, right?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Perfect.
First degree assault,
Perfect.
criminal action.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Classic. But
A
yeah,
lot of burglaries.
crazy. A lot of burglaries, a lot of business burglaries. So,
Right.
we team up, with your city guys all the time. Specifically, we had a good burglary guy. He was doing liquor stores throughout St. Louis County, St. Louis City, St. Charles County. I think we had him on 25.
No.
Matter of fact, the U.S. Attorney just called about the gun, a gun case that we may be doing on him. But he was doing nighttime burglaries, smashing windows. He was a little scrawny shit, and he'd go in and steal all the cigarettes and the cash and make good his escape.
Got to get them cigarettes.
He was doing
Getting
Turos. He was
expensive nowadays, man.
Priority.
Yeah.
$2,400 a cart or a case, $80 a carton for menthol, and that's all he was stealing. That's a lot.
How'd you
of money.
catch him?
Dusty Chandler, detective over at Florissant, and I got together, and he had a plate from a car that did one of his, and he did some backtracking, and we figured it out that it was through that Turo app. So you could rent. I could rent Tommy's car. Tommy could put his car on there, and I could rent it for X amount of dollars a day. It's like a private enterprise leasing or whatever. And yeah. So we finagled a little bit. We got their bureau and our bureau, and we followed these guys around for a while, trying to catch them doing a lick. They were always overnight.
Hang on a second.
Yeah.
Do you know what a lick is? Anybody?
Yeah.
A
Okay.
job. Yeah.
Does Joe Citizen?
I love that word. The lick.
All right.
Joe Citizen. You're always.
And then I got one other
listening.
question. Dusty. That's his real name. Dusty
Yeah.
Chambers.
Dusty Chandler. You guys.
Chandler.
Yeah. He's a big boy. He's
That's-
north of 300.
That's a cool name.
He
Dusty
boxes.
Chandler.
He boxes and guns, and knows a big boy. Big back tattoo. He's
Superhero name?
He's a huge fucking dude. He's a good fighter.
That's a
too.
cool name.
So we figure out who he is. We set up on him, and lo and behold, he does a daytime burglary when it's raining in Maryland Heights, and it's just dumb luck, right? So we're in a meeting talking about doing this Hobbs Act thing for these people doing the cigarette stuff, taking it over a state line, and a burglary comes out, and they call. They describe the vehicle that did the burglary. I'm like, that's our vehicle. So, there goes 35 hours, and we get on him, found him, end up getting at large on him. Cape Girardeau PD picks him up. He runs down there. He takes an Uber down there, which it works out.
Yeah.
We interview him in the sheriff's office, like literally in the sheriff's office, and he cops to everything. And
It's a good hit.
Yeah.
he was on federal parole.
You're
at the
on a
time.
roll, dude.
Yeah,
Good lick.
No kidding.
it was
You're on a
fun. It
roll.
was good. It was fun.
So one of the things that on the show that's come up, and I was talking to Shane before he came on the show, and obviously one of the things we've talked about is people you've met because you've been a policeman, like famous people you've met because you've been a policeman.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was if there was a dream blunt rotation, who would you have in it? And Shane sent me a bunch of pictures, and he's
We're
got
getting right to
Willie
it.
Nelson,
Dude.
We're getting right to it.
Toby Keith,
No,
Jelly Roll.
Jason Aldean. Toby's
Which
not
one?
here.
Which one's the
Toby's,
guy with?
Jason
The red.
Aldean's in the red.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's Jelly Roll to the right.
Who's that?
Morgan
That's
Wallen.
Morgan Wallen.
Morgan
Dude,
That's the
Wallen.
only picture he took with anyone that day.
Now, are you like one of them little like autograph hounds, or were you? bugging
No,
the guys?
no. So Captain Joe Egan in my place. I'm sure you guys know Joe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Joe's one of my mentors, solid as a rock. Joe runs Live Nation for our for the big amphitheater in Maryland Heights.
So I'll ask you. Do you know who the people are on the far right?
You can't get off this.
It's a little foggy and
That,
Yeah, you go.
that is the Seahorse family
Yeah, you
from the 3rd District.
you wouldn't know those.
You never heard of them when you were rolling around in the
I
city?
should've.
what's the last name?
Well, they didn't have a last name, but
We don't know.
we don't.
They were
A
nicknamed
lot of
Seahorse.
brother daddies.
What they would do is walk in, yeah,
Cousin
right.
dads.
Yeah,
100%. You
Yeah.
right on the money.
Mom, sister.
So they would walk in height, in order of height, and they would bob as they walked.
We're in
And I
trouble.
thought, since they're there, if you could take the Seahorse family and put them in as like one in your blunt rotation,
Yeah.
I think that they would be a
Do the one in the-
tremendous addition.
I take that
to
one in
any
the middle.
blunt rotation.
Take that guy in the middle.
But there's only one.
No,
left.
you get them all as a one.
Oh, okay.
So then you get 3 more.
The guy on the left.
They're the last one to touch it, though, right?
Yeah, right. There you go.
We'll give them their own.
Yeah,
I don't
They get their own.
Yeah,
they got their own.
dirtballs.
No,
Morgan-
but that's pretty cool to meet all those people.
Yeah,
Oh.
they. No,
Now I'm sure you've got a ton more. I think you sent me a bunch of other ones. I can only put a couple up there, but
Sure.
obviously Willie Nelson's been already mentioned as a dream blunt rotation.
Yeah, you named
member.
He's the main guy, man. That's
Who else would you
So
throw in there?
Shane, are you working secondary here? I guess.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we work for
Perfect.
Live Nation. So Aldean clearly, his crew, he was there in Vegas when the shooting happened. So they have requests. I mean, with the request, they're very crazy pro police. Like we gave some of our association stuff to Aldean. He wore it on stage. Just solid guy.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah.
That's good.
I got to ask you about Morgan Wallen.
Mhm.
I have a neighborhood of, we call them the Bad Moms Club
Mhm.
because they get together, they get in trouble. They got a bunch of the little kids, little girls. They all went to this concert. They all think that Morgan Wallen is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
Tell me that he's a good guy.
Awesome. So seriously, so my daughter, my wife,
Which one is he?
This
I'm
guy
not-
right
he's,
here.
he's the one on the
Okay.
bottom
Dude.
left.
All right.
So
I worked
you know,
this concert.
yeah.
Okay.
It was
So
crazy.
this was I guess the 21. Yeah, 21 at the amphitheater. He was on the wagon. He got too fast at that time with everything, and he blew up. It sold out, shoulder to shoulder, 22,000 people, and they wanted him up on stage. His guy that ran security for him also was part owner of the Crazy Horse in Vegas, and he helped us out when we made it out to Vegas. So that was a good time. But Wallen himself, I'm standing next to a guy, and the guy's name's Tommy, and it's his dad. And his dad's a driver. He drives for Old Dominion, the trucking company, not the
Cool.
College.
Mhm.
or yeah, the college or the band. He drives for the trucking company.
Oh, there's
I'm
a
like,
band too.
you're Morgan Wallen's dad. What the hell are you driving? He's probably not driving anymore. I think the boys made a couple
Well,
bucks.
he's the famous mullet guy. He had a mullet.
Oh,
I mean, he
nails.
brought the mullet back. dude.
nails. Like
Nothing better than a tight mullet.
Yeah.
So you sit off stage, and it really you just protect. It's not about getting in front of anything. You grab the asset, get them in the car, and get them out of shit hits the fan. So with that, the dad's asking me, "Hey, what's going on? Hey, I'm like, there's my daughter. Hey, bring him. Let's get him backstage, And I'm like, because it ain't gonna work out like that. I said, hey, all I need is a picture. We get a picture with you. I said, they call it. We got a wall at the station. It's called the Wall of Shane. And it just I just kind of weasel my way into pictures, and I usually I'll have challenge coins or whatever, but they're getting a little extra out of us, which is awesome. Thanks, sir. So we end up hooking up. This is right after he got off stage. Nobody goes backstage on his concerts back then. He'd had a problem with the girls and the drinking and stuff, and he became a rock star that quick. So no, he's a good
big
guy.
time.
He's a good guy.
And for you guys not to know who he is, says a lot about you two guys. You're out of touch.
The old head. Well,
Yeah.
they threw the
Hey,
old head
The
out.
only reason I knew who he was because of the neighbors, and I worked the concert at Busch
Yeah.
Stadium.
I've heard the
out.
name.
He sold out 2
Two nights.
Busch stadiums
That guy did?
back
Yeah.
to back.
Yeah.
Really?
My son went to a memorable concert.
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
them.
I got him back in after he got kicked out.
Yeah, he was drinking.
I'm sorry, your boys.
He's not quite 21 yet. Got
I'm
caught
sorry,
drinking.
boys.
Yeah.
It happens.
It happens.
Yeah.
You know,
He's a good kid.
Remember that Guns N' Roses concert out there?
Oh,
My wife was there. It was before we were together, but yeah, it's
the riot.
the riot. You can watch
yeah.
the whole thing on YouTube. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Right.
It's the Rocket Queen riot, you know. And
City.
Mobile went out there.
We went out there.
Yeah,
Yeah, we were there.
that's right.
They,
So-
they made us stand in the corner though because they were afraid we were going to start beating people up. So we didn't have any riot gear or anything. We just had these big long sticks, and
reach out and touch somebody. Right?
they said you guys just sit over there. We'll call you in case of extreme emergency.
Everybody was angry.
Break it.
Just
Break
looked at a bunch
glass
of
and beat
angry
it, bro.
dudes.
It's crazy.
That's
But
good.
the other thing that was just how St. Louis is. It's a small town. But when Shane, Al Moore is our featured guest today. But when Shane walked in, he recognizes Al from a case. And the victim was Al Moore. And he was driving down I-70 at St. Charles Rock Road, and he got his car shot up. And what was happening is people were trying to get people in high-end cars to pull over. And Al had a nice car at the time, and he got shot.
Still does.
Yeah.
Still,
Nice,
nothing's
nice,
changed.
nicer.
Always.
Just a nicer one.
He's
One
just got a
without
nicer
bullet
one.
holes.
He upgraded after the incident. But it ends up that Shane worked the case. Tell us a little bit about that case, Shane.
It's
You were on the major case squad, right?
yeah, absolutely. So you get the call, and it's like, hey, there's a squad call out, and most of the time you ask where it's at and what's it about. They said it was Brentwood, and I know that was Chief Spiece area, and you know it would be something. If nothing else, we're gonna eat good food, you know. We get there, figured it was just some gang BS. We get there, and it's a Russian doctor that had gotten killed. In the preliminary part of the investigation, we found out that University City had a homicide on Delmar. I think Delmar and Hanley, give or take. First, it's both 9mm, 9 hit came back. It's the same gun. I think it was a High Point.
So so Al didn't obviously get killed. However, you were already on the major case squad on 2 murders from
Correct.
U City and Brentwood.
Yes.
Okay.
And at that time, we didn't know about this. So we did not know that Al's car had gotten shot. So we're working our way back and trying to figure it out because in my mind, I was trying to sell the idea that it was the Russian mob. We had a Russian doctor that was somewhere where he shouldn't have been. He had just got off the plane, and it just sounded way sexy. And believe me,
trying to make this thing into a movie. I know you,
Lieutenant Jack Abel from Clayton was the commander on this, and I'm telling Hawkins, and I'm like, listen, I'm telling Joe Speed, I'm like, listen, Chief, this is Russian mob. Baby. This is gonna be on Lifetime.
Right. We're doing a documentary, baby.
I'm like, it's Russian mob. And then it's a Jewish female attorney, and the husband, also attorney, Jewish fellow, gets hit, and his phone saves him, right? So we're working our way back, and we have a plate off this Mitsubishi that was going through the jury inn right there in Brentwood, and it works back to a house in St. John. I knew St. John. When I was working with Tommy, I was a detective over that way. So we're working with LPRs and stuff, and we find out that there was another shooting in the area, and a St. John patrolman saying, yeah, some guy in this Corvette said he got shot at, but we didn't think it happened in town, so we pushed him down to Bell Ridge. And they're like, some guy, Corvette. I'm like, all right. Middle of the night, we're like,
call,
all right.
I got the call.
Yeah.
That happened in another jurisdiction. We ain't doing that.
We get with a Bell Ridge copper, and he's like, it's a retired lieutenant. I said, and he goes, it's Moore. I said, is it Al Moore from the city? And I was on the phone with my boy Andre Reese, and I said, hey, because I knew you knew his you knew Andre's dad, right? So just trying to figure it out, kind of passing it back to the base and saying, hey, this is what we got. Okay, maybe it's not Russian mob. So what happens is this group, this guy and this gal from South Carolina, they did 2 homicides in South Carolina. They needed to skip town. The guy had been in the juvenile correctional system on the East Coast with a goofball that had since moved to Missouri. And of course, they get on Facebook and say, hey, bro, I'm heading your way. He goes, bring it. And on their way through here to St. Louis, they made a few stops. She was a woman of ill repute. And
that's very kind of you.
good.
I'm going to tell you this.
She was a hoe.
Yeah, I can't believe she didn't even pay for it. But she ends up doing literally doing a John down, I think in Memphis. Kills that John to rob him. He was giving her the money anyway. In Memphis, they were shooting at cars. They went over to West Memphis and were shooting at cars. They make their way up here, and they're almost out of money. And their idea is, through the interview, was that they were going to find people in nice cars. So they had just stolen a plate because
Al.
Yeah. Well, they're smart enough to know that maybe they'll follow us. Not that we have this purple Mitsubishi with this heavyset white female that is a woman of ill repute, and then this other guy that's wearing a balaclava all the time. So they steal a license plate. What they don't know is they put a truck plate on that car, which works out, right?
Right.
So first car they see is this yellow Corvette buzzing down 170, heading home.
Why is it
Clearly.
gotta be buzzing?
Well,
I guarantee Al
It's Al Moore.
speed limit.
it's a Corvette. It's a fast car. And they rack off some rounds at this Corvette. The Corvette doesn't stop. That's good. They get up on Delmar and they see this high-end BMW, newer, shiny, and they're like, pull up next to it. He takes his high point and just unloads on the.
Damn. From the overpass?
No.
Oh, they
parallel in it, going east on Delmar, Hanley, heading towards like the loop.
Okay.
Old man gets hit, and the driver gets hit, but he looks over his wife. She's clearly struck. He's in a Beamer that's fast and dusts him, gets down. They end up going to St. Mary's. She succumbs to her injuries.
Damn.
But we're able to look.
That
at
was right after Al got.
Right. So Al's car, then the BMW, and then these guys after that, they don't know where they're at. So they go down to about right inside the city by the Nudo house, and they flip around. And they're coming back down Delmar, and you could actually see them on their car, and that's how we get a description of their car going by patrol cars that are out at this scene. Mm-hmm. And they didn't know what they had other than shell casings, right? They thought maybe somebody was shooting in the air. So we had a description of the car. We get real-time crime center, and we're like, hey, this is what we got. We don't know where these people are. The idea, we didn't know where they were.
The city's real-time crime center?
Oh, awesome. And again, I try to take all our young detectives, new detectives, old detectives, all our old heads. I'm like, you got to go down and watch these people do their thing. They're special people. And without them, I could tell you, 15 of the major case things I've been on, we probably wouldn't have had hardly any success if it wasn't for them. So some staunch, awesome detective work at the Real-Time Crime Center finds our vehicle, and they're like, it's over at the fucking Murder Mobile. I'm like, hell yeah, right? So we roll up there,
wait a minute. The Murder Mobile is the one that's on Goodfellow and Natural Bridge.
Yeah, like if we're at the Goody, of course.
I knew
from the Goody, we
I
could
just wanted to explain that.
Yeah, a little chip wedge. From
pretty well known.
Goody hit it.
Pretty well known.
But it ultimately
Everybody knows where to go when it's said.
One of the
Just telling
alphabet
people never heard of it.
one of the alphabet groups had a poll cam up, and we were able to watch that. But ultimately, it's the hotel behind there that the Indian folk owned. And we watch it pull up, and we watch this dude get out. They get in the car and they leave. So we go over, me and Julie Jackson and a couple of her guys from St. Charles City go over, and we get this guy, and we go for a ride. And he's like, hey, I don't know these people. I think they're from Rolla, Missouri. We're like, Rolla?
Right.
And he goes, man, he said he's from Rolla. The guy's being weird. He goes, they ain't from Rolla. They ain't from St. Louis. He goes, they came here to get some weed. You don't come here to get some weed. I'm like, I'd agree.
Yeah.
You just don't go get a dime bag at Murder Mobile. Yeah, you
Same
can get
fucking-
weed anywhere.
Right.
Go to the fucking dispensary. Like,
Right.
what are you talking about? So he gets good. Ends up telling us. He says Rolla. So we get with Sean Fagan, who's the chief at Rolla, and we say, hey, this is what we got. The guy's saying the guy's from Rolla, and nothing's coming out of there. We call it after a night. I mean, we're up 18 hours, probably working 19 hours. We get up, we get in early, and somebody just happened to be watching the news. And it's our car in South Carolina, and there's a manhunt. They got the fat girl. She's
That's
fat.
right.
She's fat, sorry. I know we're not supposed to do that.
No, you're good.
But she's
All
heavy.
right.
She is
But she was a criminal.
and nasty. So
Fat ho.
nasty.
Fat ho.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. She correct.
Why?
There's a manhunt, and somebody just happened to have the national news on, and I'm like, that's our fucking car. And they're looking for the guy, and he's off to the woods. So the decision was the Highway Patrol helped us out. They got the governor's plane, and the Highway Patrol boys flew.
Just because of Al Moore?
Yeah,
All because of
He was part of it.
you don't
Naturally.
you don't shoot at Al's car. It's
But- Yeah.
yeah, so we jumped on a plane and they flew some of us out to South Carolina, and we ended up going to a sheriff's office. They were more than obliged to help us. The gal was in custody. She comes off everything, says everything that happens. He gets caught 6 or 7 days later. He's emaciated. He'd been barefoot. He had ran out of his Crocs when he didn't have them in sport
He's
mode.
in the woods.
He was in the woods. Yeah. I mean, this is like, this is very rural South Carolina. It was cotton fields and bean fields. That was it. The sheriff's office, while they had a lot of manpower, majority of their fleet, and this is only 3 years ago, I guess, were Crown Victorias. So, I mean, it's a poorer part of the area or part of the United States. But they're all ready to help. They were pissed off we didn't bring rifles and shit. 'Cause they're like,
That's
go
awesome.
find them.
That's awesome.
So ultimately, so that's how Lieutenant Al Moore's car got shot. And
No, but I thought that was. I mean, we had
Small
no
world.
idea
Great
when we
story.
had you guys come in. We had no idea that you worked on his case. I do remember the incident,
crazy.
but no. And we thank you for coming on, Shane.
Appreciate it.
You're still knocking it dead out there.
27 years.
27 years and
In
still
my
rolling.
27th, yeah. It's
Wow.
a sickness,
That,
man. It's a sickness.
One last thing.
Yeah.
So the people of Maryland Heights call you the detective or whatever your rank is, and we call you Shane, but somebody calls you Dad. Who is that calls you Dad?
I started with my youngest, Skylar. She's a junior at Missouri State. She'll be 21 about a week and a half.
You're getting old.
She'll
My
be able to
son-
start drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, fast Eddie's right. No shots for her. I've already told everyone alive. No shots.
All right,
for her.
keep rolling, baby.
Yeah, my son Chase, he'll be 26. He's a Missouri State graduate. He lives in KC. He's in agriculture. And then my stepson Ricky's 30. He works for a real estate company here in St. Louis.
Very good.
And who calls you a husband?
My wife Stacy.
All right.
We've been married since
Shout out to Stacy.
01. Shout out. You've met Stacy before. No, she's a good lady.
I've
Without
met
her,
I've met a lot of people before where it
yeah,
doesn't
without
mean I remember people.
yeah, without Stacy,
I
none of
introduce
this
myself to him every day.
would,
Hey, Jim. Hey, Tommy, I'm Jim.
yeah. Without Stacy, none of this
Heard a
would
lot
be
of good
possible.
things about Jim.
Shout out to Stacy and
out
your
to
kids.
Absolutely.
And
Shane.
we appreciate all the work you're doing,
Appreciate it, brother.
and
Thank
keep
you, Aaron.
keep on doing.
Yeah, keep up.
Hopefully,
the good work,
you'll
man.
be a sergeant someday soon.
Yeah, maybe,
Yeah, maybe
maybe.
maybe they'll
Promotion.
recognize
KJ,
all that
help
great
him out.
work.
I'm going to get you promoted in May, I think.
I appreciate it.
Right,
Help them out.
make a phone call.
I'll make a phone call.
We can always
We'll
field,
make some phone calls.
we can always field promote them too.
We do field promote people on this show.
Should we do it now?
Yeah, you're a
Oh.
sergeant. You're a
Right,
sergeant.
we'll just give
Zen Master Gabe.
we'll just give them a
Zen
blessing.
Master gave him sergeant stripes.
That's all.
There you go.
Appreciate
All
it.
right, Shane. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
buddy.
Thank you.
All right, here we are, the Blue Line Roundtable. It is sponsored by nobody right now.
Again,
And check, who
It'll
do we
happen.
got?
we have with us retired Lieutenant Al Moore, retired lieutenant from the city of St. Louis. We all worked with him. We all respect him. Great boss, who's now moved on to Spire. His current position is Director of Security and Crisis Management at Spire. And something of note that we should all know, since we worked with Al in 2022 was honored as one of the most influential people in security.
Huh?
So
Wow.
congratulations on that.
Look at
Al.
you.
Yeah,
Huh?
They were
Come a
talking.
long way, brother.
Yeah.
Come a long way.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Al.
Well, thank you. Appreciate
for
that.
having us.
No, thank you. Thank you guys.
Hey, why don't
Appreciate
you tell us a little bit about your background? Hey, and I forgot to mention, this is important. His father at one time sat on the Board of Police
it.
Commissioners.
That's right. I think
Uh,
it was 89 through 92.
You remember
I was
that
on the
governor?
board.
Who appointed him?
That was Ashcroft.
Was it John Ashcroft?
Yeah, it was Ashcroft.
Governor Ashcroft.
Absolutely.
Nesby Moore, great
Mhm.
guy.
Yeah.
I know his father and very well respected guy.
Still kicking at 90.
Yeah, how about that? You told me he's still driving.
Still driving. I was just with him a few days ago. Sat around. We talked for about 4 hours. So
God love him.
sharp as a tack.
Good
That's
for him,
awesome.
man.
Yeah,
Tell him we
absolutely.
said
That
hello.
is awesome.
We'll do it.
Yeah,
We'll do it.
please.
Yeah.
So tell us about yourself, Al.
Hold on.
Wait a minute,
JJ's
wait a
got
minute. I got
something.
check.
Oh boy,
Check.
this ought to be good.
Check. We always talk about how these privileged guys that had good careers and never been in uniform very long. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm guessing Al.
Al, no, you're right.
He had a pretty good career.
We can add him to that list.
Of-
okay.
Speece,
Al
Moore.
Al, how much time did you do in uniform?
Well, if you count my sergeant years as well as my count my sergeant years as well as my patrol years, probably about 2 years.
Wait a
He's only
Wait a minute,
take your
brother.
sergeant time out.
You've got me beat. Holy.
Hey, you know what I just realized? If the uniform inspector came in here, he wouldn't know any of us.
Hey, I've been uniform almost my entire career in mobile.
But JJ, good point. Al's on that list.
He is.
Yeah, we got to
He's,
put him
he's,
on there.
he's in the Mount Rushmore with Speece and you and who else?
Well, there's a couple others.
Oh,
right?
Anyway, that's good.
Yeah.
But good. Al's got a good career.
I
But-
did.
Well,
And
Don't
and I
ever
will say
deny
this.
being on that
No.
list, Al.
No.
It's a
Let me say
privileged
this
list.
about the getting a good job thing. You can get a good job,
Mhm.
Got to keep it.
but to keep the good job,
That's-
you have to perform.
That's
and you
exactly
have to
right.
do because whoever put you there
Yeah.
is watching you,
That's
exactly right.
right.
and you're not going to embarrass whoever put you there. And
Before we get started, can I tell my story with Al?
yeah, absolutely.
I didn't really know Al that well. He had, he was up there in the upper tier of people. He's a big shot. But anyway, I got promoted to sergeant, and I ain't gonna lie, I had a good career too. And I got about maybe three months on as a sergeant, and then I heard there's rumor that because Mobile Reserve and SWAT became one unit for a while, and they weren't doing the street work, that Chief Isom wanted to start the RDU unit, Rapid Deployment Unit.
That's right.
And there was rumors, that's right, that I was going to be one of the sergeants. And I didn't know him. I was like, shit, I hope he picks me. But he did. And it was one of the coolest things I ever did because it was me, Jim Kenny, Jason Love, and Freddie Latham.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had everybody put in positions we posted these positions for rapid deployment. It was going to be a mock of Mobile Reserve because they didn't really exist anymore because they were more all SWAT. So we got all these people put in, there's hundreds of them put in back at the time. And we got to interview all of them. And then we actually got to do a draft choice. And you let us do that. The sergeants all sat at a round table like this. We threw all the names in the hat. After we interviewed them, we got to pick them in the draft. It was one of the coolest things. We built a pretty good unit.
Absolutely.
And it was how many officers? We tried to talk about, I think,
I want to say 28 officers and
we all had, we had 4 sergeants and we each had 8 officers.
32.
32
It
officers.
was like the football draft. You guys
Yeah, it
had
was.
all
It was
your
so
people.
cool. It was really
Yeah.
cool. And we had and we got criticized not being mobile and all this other BS, but they were a great unit and we did a great job.
So mobile
Is
got
that
to
still
stand?
around?
No, that they faded when Al left.
Well,
Oh, all right. Uh-huh.
No, it just got eliminated because of people and manpower.
Yeah.
And then we started mobile back up again. So, but anyway,
I never
well,
did that.
I'll let Al.
what I will say about that is, hey, I picked the sergeants and I let the sergeants pick the men.
Mhm.
did.
And I didn't, I was going to stand on top of these guys' heads, but I wasn't going to, stand in there and pick the men, and then have them have to, be responsible for that.
What was that chain, Al? Who'd you answer to?
Captain Kuntz at the time.
Right.
He was
Okay.
our captain. And then Al Atkins
And then Al.
was a colonel.
Okay. What year did you come
I
on?
came on in 92, went to the 9th District. From there, spent some time in SCAT for about 6 months in SCAT, and then went back to the district, then went to the gang unit and the intel division where I worked with some of you guys as well.
Mhm.
Got promoted from there, went back to the district for a little bit, went to the bureau, crime suppression.
He had good assignments. They were all good.
Dude,
internal
he's the
affairs,
who's who.
Yeah.
special
Special
ops,
But
all of it.
Yeah.
to go back to your scat days, my Ron Clyer was on here, as you know,
Yeah.
and he was your sergeant. But tell us about the first day you showed up in scat.
Oh wow, no, it was too funny. Here I come in. I didn't have that much time on, and my previous job, I was a salesman. So I come in with my round polo glasses on. I got my blazer on, my pair of slacks, and my
So you're the
my
black
Ferragamos.
You're the
Are
black
you
Malice.
kidding me?
You're like twins. You're like 2 twins.
That's all right.
So
brother. That's
you
all right,
gotta-
brother.
you gotta picture this. I'm going
Mhm.
down to the basement of headquarters, and I walk around the corner and
The
walk
black
in.
mallet.
And then-
I'll take that as a compliment.
Hey, I'll take that as a
All right,
compliment.
brother.
There you
Good
go.
work, man.
That was pretty cool. I thought the same thing, Tom. They are 2 peas in a pod. But go on. Sorry.
So I walk in, Clara's sitting at the desk, and he's looking at me, and I go, "Hey, I'm Almore. I got detached here, I'm coming in next week, and I just wanted to come down and introduce myself to you, and all of that. Clyde's looking at me going, yep, babe, no problem. Love to have you. We'll see you next week. And I turn around, wave to the guys. I walk out. I don't get outside the door, and I hear somebody go, what? That fucking guy's he's gonna buy dope? Please give me a break.
You felt welcome.
Next week, and I got a pair of dirty jeans on. I got these boots with holes in them. Half of the soles gone. They didn't know it was the same guy. I didn't look like the same guy.
There you go.
We had a crew down there. We had a great time in SCAD. We did a lot of good work.
Oh,
Ron Clyer was a good man.
He was the best.
Still is.
One of the best.
Were you
Right.
there with Latricia?
She was gone by that time. We had Linda Mopkins.
Oh,
at that
okay.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, we had Lee Stokes, obviously Mike Mueller,
Yeah.
Jimmy Molden. Some of the cast of
Right.
characters down there.
Right.
We had a good time.
I mean, for what you guys did and to get out of it with limited damage. I mean,
Yes.
I'm not going to say nobody got, cars weren't wrecked and
Right.
stuff like that, but to get out of there with nobody really getting, I think Ron said Pernell Witherspoon took a bottle over the head.
Yeah. Yeah.
But other
I mean,
than that, it was
Man,
somewhat.
work. I mean, when you think about it today, the way things are today, I mean, it was very dangerous situations to be in, and to work all those years, make all those arrests,
Mhm.
and have that kind of an impact. I mean, it was relevant, and certainly
Right.
relevant at that time. So
And it's a great place to be young in your career.
absolutely,
And then kind of as you went on, you always remember that because it's a young man's unit as far as buying dope and stuff like that.
Well, one of the things, and I was older when I came on. I was 28 when I joined the police department, so I was about 30 when I went down to SCAD. And I remember, the last month I was there, one of the things that stuck with me, I was on the arrest team this night, and this young kid, nobody got away, right? I mean, we got everybody.
Yep.
And I'm running toward this kid. He makes a move on me, and I go this way, and he goes that way, takes off, jumps over the car, and he gets away. We catch him later. But it was at that moment that I knew, man, I'm gonna leave this for somebody else.
There you go.
I'm gonna see if
Take the
Yeah, I'm
Emotion
not going to be
test.
the only person to lose a guy
Yeah, yeah.
because I almost was.
Yeah.
And then producer John, you got a dog story for us?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
It was in intelligence. I was a sergeant. Al was working for me. He and I think it was a Friday afternoon, and we got a call from the FBI like mid-afternoon. Said this, we have a great arrest for you. It's a ground ball. Just go down there. This guy's wanted for murder or something. It's an easy one, and we can't do it right now. So we go, we'll take it. So Al and I think John Anderson and Scott McKelvey go down, and Al and I are in the car, and I said, nobody gives away a great arrest for nothing. Because there's something wrong with this case, but we decided to take it. So John Anderson and Scott went to the front door, and Al and I went to the back door, and it was down like in the Grover neighborhood, a little bit south of Manchester. So we just go up there, and those guys are going to knock on the front door. Al and I just covering the back, and in the back of this house, there was it had a huge paved lot, and they had 8 cars back there.
Mm-hmm.
And Al went up one row between the cars, and I went up, on the other one. I was going to watch the side of the house, and Al walked up to the back porch, so he was watching the back door. Well, we barely get there, and these guys start knocking on the door in the front, and all of a sudden, Al just takes off running. Doesn't say anything, doesn't whatever. And I've never seen Al run except for chasing somebody. So I'm thinking, well, if Al's running, I better start running too. Because I'm thinking there's 10 guys with Uzis coming out the back. So anyway, Al's running down, and Al's always dressed, to the nines, and he's got his $500 shoes on, and there's smoke coming out of him because he's running so fast and running toward our car. So I'm running, and I'm like, what? I don't see anything. Well, right then, I understand what's going on. As soon as I cleared the last row of cars, this pit bull gets on my right on my tail. I mean, he's right on my heels.
Wait a minute, stop. If this dog gets killed, I don't want to hear the rest of the story.
No, but Al almost got killed by me. So anyway, I'm running. I can't outrun this dog. Al's he's already in the car. He's got the radio on, and so there's a dumpster there. So I figure I'll just run behind it. I didn't have time, to do anything because I was running. So I get behind the dumpster, and I just whipped around and I pointed my gun at that dog, and the dog just all four paws just went.
That dog had seen that before.
Yeah,
That dog seen that before. He stopped.
Good.
that dog knew what was pointed at him.
Yeah.
Dog knew what was up.
Yeah.
He just
Oh,
stopped
shit.
on a dime, and he looked at me, and then he just turned around and just casually walked away.
That's a great story.
Oh yeah.
Dog survived.
The old John would have shot him.
Yeah,
The old John would have shot him.
No, he's a dog.
no, and
No, you wouldn't.
Joe Mokel wouldn't let us shoot
Oh, no.
dogs.
Well,
you know.
that's true, too.
So anyway, we get back in the car, and I said it's Friday afternoon, and so I called. Sam Simon was our boss. I called him and said I didn't give any explanation. I said, Al and I are leaving. We're going to the bar. Didn't ask. He didn't ask why. And Al and I went to Tom's Bar and Grill, which was on another show. But it was the closest bar to there that we were familiar with, and
Had a great night.
had many
Well, yeah.
pictures.
And you didn't get eaten by a pit bull. That's good.
That's right.
But Al did get written up by me for failure to advise a supervisor of a charging pit bull.
Hey man, I never.
Is that accurate, Al?
Oh, it's absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
That
right.
dog came running out of that door, and I took off.
Any reason why you didn't tell your sergeant? Ron?
Well, I didn't think about it.
Self-preservation.
Every man for
John who?
every man,
Right? John who?
every man for
I'm out.
Hey, it's
themselves.
like
baby.
running from a bear. You ain't gonna be the fastest. He's gonna be faster than the guy you run with.
Right.
So he figured
Right.
he outrun John. He was okay.
I was shocked that dog stopped.
Me too. That was the strangest thing I've ever seen. But it was obvious to me in that moment that dog had seen a pistol.
and seen seen what came out of
Our-
it.
That's right.
Or his buddy saw a pistol
There
and
you
he
go.
witnessed his buddy go down.
There you go.
I saw that one before.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
the other one,
Oh, go ahead. Tom.
go ahead. The other one I wanted to get to, you guys, John, actually it was, and Tommy was involved, Chuck, to differentiate between the Tommies. Chuck, Al, and John were all in intelligence. And they were all involved in a case, a wild case, where they all ended up going undercover as dirty cops, as themselves. And I don't know how you guys want to proceed with this or who wants to start, but this is some wild stuff.
Man, that was a very interesting time. Our sergeant was the lead undercover, in this particular caper, and
And who was that, Al?
that was Simon Riss,
Okay.
who's no longer with us, but he was the lead undercover in this case. And as the story goes, we were dirty police officers, and we were extorting money, through various ways. And we met some guys. What was the name of that bar? I think it was
Killabrew.
Killabrews back then. It's no longer in existence, but made some contacts there. This case actually took us through Los Angeles, Sealy, Texas, and New York, I believe,
Yeah,
on the East
you're right.
Coast,
Yep.
and involved drugs and stolen cars, retag cars, and a whole host of other things. So we ended up in Los Angeles a couple of times working that case. And I think we indicted probably 16 to 14 people during that time period. So it was a heck of a case. with
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
was just from
twists and
St.
turns
Louis, but I think there was like 100+ people.
throughout
throughout the
different
country.
So how
jurisdictions.
does so and Simon's the main guy. So
He started off at Killabrews one night, just socializing on his own time and just having a drink. And he met this group of characters
Sure.
down there. He came in the next day. I'll never forget, John, you were there, Al. He was all excited. He says, boy, we got one. This is good. And then he went into this scenario on how he sold them that we're dirty cops and we can get this.
that he sold himself as a
hold
dirty cop,
him-
but he's got a
Yeah.
crew of dirty cops that were with him.
That's
Simon and
exactly
some
right.
other officers were talking about taking cars from people.
That's it.
But what he was talking about was seizing them, legally, like on, on drug cases. But these guys who were involved in this conspiracy, they thought he was talking about taking people's cars. Like this, he saw a car he liked and he took it.
Take it.
So they assumed he was a dirty police officer. So they started eventually, they'd see each other from time to time, and then they eventually approached Simon and said, "Hey, would you want to do some business together?"
That's right.
And Simon, he was the sergeant in intelligence, said this is a great opportunity to get involved. So we went to the FBI, and then they realized that this was part of a bigger case, but it was decided that we would go undercover, but we were ourselves. We used our real names, our real assignment codes, everything. But the guys the Killebrews crew that we met were kind of guys that they didn't sell drugs in the corner. They were higher end guys.
Yeah.
They hung out in Clayton. They hung out downtown. They hung out on the West End. So it was kind of neat because it wasn't like just sitting in a van and doing a surveillance somewhere. We were going to nice bars and restaurants and meeting with these guys, and it turned out to be a really good case.
And you didn't decide to call me, see if I could help?
No, I think you might have been on a couple of them by mistake because you're already in there. Because we did run into a lot of our friends on that case.
Yeah, we did.
Now, I got to ask you, were they affiliated with any mobsters, or was it just on their own little ring?
It was a gang case out of L.A.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what.
There was dope involved.
Yeah.
There was dope. There was dope.
But your guys that you guys were running with weren't really the dope guys. They were more the car tag guys.
They were like the in betweens, the conduit between these different factions, because there were some people that were higher profile people that were supposedly involved in this, and our guys that we dealt with were the ones who had the connections with them.
Correct.
Our target, the guy that we knew the best, the guy that we were hanging out with, he'd never been in any of these places where they're actually selling the drugs and that. So, it was neat, and we.
Now, would they pay for your guys' beer, or do you guys have to pay for your own?
How long did this investigation go on?
It was like 21 months, I think.
Yeah.
And how many indictments do you know?
16?
Yes.
Something like that.
16
Here.
was what we did here, but they were in Sealy, Texas, as well as L.A. There were some gang members in L.A. that were indicted as well.
It was a Title III.
Yeah.
We were up on,
That's
I forget
awesome.
how many phones.
Yeah.
It was a good case.
That's
That was a great
interesting.
case.
And we got to go out to L.A. Well, how many times? A
I
dozen?
know I went twice.
I went once.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went
You
out
got
there a
any
bunch of
good
them.
L.A. stories?
Well, a couple of them.
Al's little soft laugh there made me think that there's some.
Well, I think the
Well-
first time we went out there, we got out there and we met up with we had meetings all afternoon, and then we went out and had dinner and some drinks and that. Well, this is like when all the O.J. Simpson stuff was going on, so we decided to go try to find O.J. Simpson's house, and we did. And I think a couple of us, maybe not me, but it might have been me. I don't remember, but we used O.J.'s front wall, for a bathroom, and
Urination?
yeah, urination.
Okay. Just want to clear that up.
But that's not the funny part, because in retrospect, it was a
JJ
goofy.
will cut that.
I think we
But
should.
That would get
But the
cut.
funny part was the next day we went to the FBI office. We had more meetings, and we told the agent that, hey, guess what we did last night? We went by O.J. Simpson's house, and we took a leak on his front, on his wall, and he goes, I know. It's like, well, how do you know? He goes, every policeman that comes out here does that. He goes, you're not the first.
Wasn't there another one where you guys were invited to a cops only bar?
Oh,
Yeah,
What was that one?
the
Al?
shortstop.
Oh my God, man! We went in, and it was a great time. We were having a good time. We're playing pool. There's a lot, music, some very attractive women there. It was a great time, but it was a cop bar, and we had the agent from St. Louis with us, and they weren't very welcoming, to the FBI in that particular bar. So he
Interesting.
had to make an exit.
Really?
So you guys got
we all-
booted?
We all
No.
got kicked out. Yeah.
FBI did. You guys did you?
Yeah,
Yeah, we didn't work on everybody back.
For
Leave
bringing them.
I'm gonna leave him.
Yeah, but they said
Yeah.
FBI agents aren't welcome here. They put policemen in jail, and
Wow.
they asked us to leave. And we were with an LAPD officer, but
Right.
they put us out. But
Well,
Hey.
stood behind what they stood behind.
Well, that's right.
yeah,
So,
right.
nothing
That's
you can do
righteous.
about that.
Hey, Al, talk about the transition you made from local law enforcement as a commander supervising people to the corporate world and how different that is and what you encountered doing that.
Well, it's an interesting thing. I'll tell anybody that the experiences that I've had as a law enforcement professional definitely, helped. The skills you learn, the experiences, the knowledge that you bring to the table, have helped. I remember my assignment in rapid deployment, where we started a brand new unit and had to build that thing from the ground up. I did not know this when I took this job. I was the only person in security. It was Lee Gas.
Really?
Oh yeah. And I took that job, and we had a new CEO at the time, and we were in growth mode. And so we were a small mom and pop here in St. Louis, and we grew over the years. And I had to build a security organization.
Now,
out,
when you went there, was it
program.
Leclerc Gas at the time?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And no security division.
No, I was the.
You were it.
I was the only person in security.
Okay.
And so.
And you had worked secondary.
Oh yeah,
For them.
I'd worked secondary there for 15 years.
Okay.
Before that happened, so they were very familiar with me, and started the job. And again, one of the things that I had to do was build the organization. Now I had that experience, being on the police department. So, it was great. Took me probably 2 or 3 years to. We were again in growth mode. We acquired a gas company on the west side of the state, down in Alabama, down in Mississippi, Wyoming, Oklahoma, Illinois, and all of so we're in eight places in 8 states today. And so we built out the organization. I got about 14 employees, probably 100 to 125 contractors.
Let me ask you this. How many of the employees you hired are former St. Louis police officers?
95%.
Mhm.
And that's because again, it's the trust.
Well, it's all of that.
Yeah.
It's the experience, the knowledge.
How come my phone number never rang?
Well, you're not ready to go yet. But yeah, I mean, the guy that runs the west side of the state for us, we built out 4 security operations centers, one on the west side of the state. Tony L. He's a retired major from the Kansas City Police Department. You got Rebecca Smith, who's the manager here. Just brought on James McWilliams, captain from St. Louis County. We've got
Great guy.
Lloyd Jones, who is a retired lieutenant from the Birmingham Police Department that runs our Southern Bureau. So, it's important, to have those skill sets. And I would also add, I'm a member of a group called the St. Louis Area Corporate Security Leadership Organization. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention, the names of the folks who are city policemen that are now leading these organizations and their security, like Dan Isom, who was at Ameren before him,
Classmate.
Tim Reagan, who was before him. We've got Al Atkins at the community college. He's running that that department.
Great man.
Rich Giles at Centene, running that department. Reggie Harris,
Timmy Regan.
Tim.
Yeah, he already
Oh,
said
you
it.
mentioned it.
And then Mike Lauer at BJC. We've got, I think, Todd Miller
Mhm.
Yeah,
at
over at St.
SSM.
Mary's.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
That is like a who's who of the police department.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And they're, and the another thing you do or have gotten involved in, and I think it's very important, especially now, St. Louis has got so much to offer.
Sure.
The downtown St. Louis area has so much to offer.
Yeah, we believe
And
in
we've
that.
taken a black eye,
Yeah.
and that's just nothing. It is what it is. But you're involved with trying to rejuvenate downtown.
Sure.
And talk a little bit about that.
Well, we're in the heart of downtown. We're, right there in the middle of downtown. And after COVID, there were some issues around crime, and so I got involved with the downtown CID group, and I'm on the board of that group, and so we're working in a lot of different ways, to have an impact on crime and public safety in a lot of different ways. The homeless issue, having extra patrols, handling, quality of life issues so that they don't rise to the level of the police having, to utilize their resources to manage that. Again, the guides, the ambassadors, all of those programs that, are things that can impact, public safety in the area. And it doesn't hurt to have Gabe Gore in place at the.
He's doing a great job.
He's doing an outstanding job.
He's turning this thing around pretty quick.
And he's running for office in case anybody wants to know. So make sure you vote for him and certainly support him.
We're not supposed to be political, but for that one, I think everybody's down for that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he's really turned that stuff around. But
yes,
I can tell you firsthand he has.
The other thing too, in being with Spire, is the protection of a friggin' grid that can shut us down, and how you work with other, such as the electric company.
Sure.
You're the gas company. And what do you guys do, and how many meetings do you guys have to make sure that that nobody can come in and terrorist activity can shut us down?
He can't talk about that.
We I just talk at a high level.
You're right.
I'll talk at a high level. We started a group of utilities. It's AT&T, Spire, Ameren, American Water, Charter, and so we meet every Friday. We share information. We talk about the things that happen from a criminal activity perspective, because what happens to one usually tends to have the trends. You follow the trends, and if we can get ahead of that, then we try to do that. And it also helps us to understand the resources that we'll need to be able to fight that. So, it's a very sophisticated operation. We do data analytics, we do crime analysis and mapping and risk ranking, and we've got police officers that work in our program, and we put them out there in the areas where our guys work, in the high-risk areas.
Right. And how is your communication with, we'll just call them the alphabet units? Are they good at giving you guys information as to possible people that might be up to something?
Well, the way that works is we share information with them, and if there's some issue, they usually we have resources that we can reach out to, and they reach out to us, and so we'll be made aware. I'm sure if there's some issue that we need to address, but there's also different task force that we belong to where we share that kind of information. So, usually we know that ahead of time.
Al, he won't say it, but Al sits on several boards, been appointed by the mayor's office. But these boards include the DeWitts, owners of the Cardinals, the Blues, all those that are involved with downtown. There's a long list of very distinguished people on that list. Al's one of them. So I just wanted to mention that, because him being one of our retirees,
and
here
a
he's
friend.
sitting with these, and a friend.
Right.
And
he's a big one.
Right.
No, I'm still the same Al Moore, that I've always been. But I do believe in that. I grew up in the city, born and raised in the city. My father was a police commissioner in the city, so I believe in that. I believe in us doing the work that we need to do to be able to do that, and we're committed from a company perspective. I know we're committed to that. A few years back, we had some employees get killed, so we take the safety and security of our employees very seriously.
Al, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you took the lead. There was an incident downtown, or an incident at Spire, and you took the lead of putting everybody together and said, we got to do something about this crime down here.
Well, yeah, we our security leadership organization, we got together, and I got about 35, 40 companies that are represented in that group. And so I picked about 10 guys, some of the same guys we've just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them were city commanders, but there were some from other places as well. And we went to visit some other cities. First thing we did is we sat down with the police chiefs, Chief Gregory, and at the time, John Hayden, St. Charles, and then over in Illinois with the state police. And we sat down and talked to them about, some just kind of what they thought some of the issues were. And we took that information and we visited about 4 or 5 cities and did some benchmarking with those cities and came back and brought that information back here, and then had a public safety summit at Spire and invited, all those folks and brought the folks from those other places and, just kind of hashed it out, talked about the different programs. I like to believe that, some of that stuff is still working, but, there's a regional effort that's happening now, the Regional Crime Summit, that the East-West Gateway Committee is putting on, and they're doing a lot of different work under the strategy of a lot of different folks. So the most important thing is to keep it in the forefront and make sure that we're pushing that ball forward. And there's been a lot of change. I can remember a time recently in the last 2 years where, it was just, drag racing up and down the street. Just anything that you can imagine was happening. And so a lot of that has subsided.
So you have seen a change.
Yes.
I don't get downtown that often,
Yes.
but you're down there every day.
With the help of Mobile Reserve.
There's no question. No question.
No, we laugh, but
100%.
I
100%. We
believe
deal
that.
with every
There's
weekend.
there's no doubt.
Yeah. I got to ask you one question. It's kind of off the subject. Back to your car when you got shot at.
Sure.
How did your car take it?
I don't know how my car took it, but I was a little pissed off.
Do you still have that car?
No, I got rid of it, but I was coming from my parents' home, and I was driving over 170, and it's just one of those. It was dark, somewhere between 8:30, and all of a sudden I heard about 10 shots, to my immediate left, and I couldn't see the car initially, so I immediately pulled to the right. And slowed down. And as the car went by me, it was an SUV, he struck the door, struck the front fender.
The rounds of the car itself.
Yeah, the rounds of the car.
Damn.
Struck the front door, the front fender. And then as he went by, he fired a round that went through the front bumper.
Holy
Yeah,
cow.
I could hear there were several
God.
rounds being shot, and I could hear them, hitting the ground and dusting up, on the car. And I love that car.
What time of night is this again?
About 8:30.
And what
Well, you're
highway,
lucky.
what highway was it on? Was it 70?
170.
170.
170 in St.
170.
Charles Rock.
Yeah. And so I kept going. I lived in town and country at the time, so I made it home. And
Did
when
you realize you were shot at the
Well-
time or no?
I knew I was shot at, but I didn't know, whether the car sustained any damage. And again, I'll say this again. I love that car. So I got to the garage and looked at the car, and I said, "Oh no, I'm going back down there and look for this guy." So I jumped back in the car and go back down there, and I drove around, and then I went to the St. John's Police Department and talked with those guys, and they wanted me to take them back up on the highway. And so I did that, and they said, "Well, it's not our area." And they called another department, and the guy came out, and I talked with him, and I told him, "Well, I'm not leaving until we get a report here."
Mhm.
So they decided to take the report, and it was the next day, after all the other things had happened, that the detective talked about when they realized that I was involved. And then I got a bunch of phone calls from a whole
Right.
host of
Because 2 other people have been killed.
Right,
Wow.
And luckily,
right.
not when you look
Yeah.
at it.
Right.
And obviously at the time you're thinking, oh, they might have just been playing around shooting as they go by.
Well,
But then when you hear that, you're like, oh my God.
exactly.
You
And
know?
I'm glad I did that night. I'm
Mhm.
glad I went back down
Yeah.
there
Heck
to
yeah.
report it
'Cause, yeah.
that night. So
So obviously you weren't drinking because you went to call the police and said, hey, man.
But hey, Al would never do that. But
just an observation, dude.
this was a Corvette, a yellow Corvette.
yeah,
That's like one of the few last cars I'd want to be in that's getting shot at.
oh, there's no question about it. It's talking about fiberglass, right? It's all fiberglass.
And But you heard many more shots than you counted that hit your car.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously shooting at the ground, and so some of that was going
Because-
hitting the
all right.
ground and going
Because they
in front of
wanted
the
you to
car.
pull over so they
Right.
could rob you.
Oh,
Right.
gotcha.
Okay, that
He
was their
started off
objective.
shooting in the air,
Okay, all right.
and then as he went by me, because I wouldn't stop, that's when he started shooting at me.
This has got to be one of the dumbest criminals ever, though. If you want somebody to pull over, you don't shoot at them. It's going to make you drive,
Exactly.
especially
Right.
if you're in a Corvette.
Now,
you're
were
just
you
gonna
were you, were
take
you
off.
armed at the time?
Yeah, I was armed.
I figured.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
want to make sure I know. Well,
And I, it's one of those things where, I didn't actually know. I mean, I'm sitting here and I'm hearing the shots fired. Then I see the car, and I didn't know until he drove by me, and I saw the muzzle flash when he shot that
Wow.
that was him. And I was like, oh, okay. And then it all clicked with me. Well, if I pull out my weapon and start shooting at that point, then I'm putting everybody else at risk. So
was
I would
there
not
any
do
point when this was going on, you were thinking, who did I piss off?
no, I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking something else. But I won't talk about that.
That's great. You're lucky. All the
Yeah.
years you did
Very
in the
But I
police
think it's,
department,
very-
that's crazy.
I think it's
Very much
important to point out that, Al doing what he's done. One of the things we want to do here, Al, is use this as a recruitment tool for young kids,
Sure.
trying to, they don't know what they want to do in life. And becoming a policeman and having you on, you can really make a success. You don't have to be a policeman for 70 years.
No.
You can use it as a stepping stone to be a very successful person. And
Oh.
talk a little bit about that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, policing has been one of those jobs where people work them for 30, 40 years and they retire and that's it. But with the way things are going today, it's a little tough, to be a policeman, and you feel somewhat underappreciated. So the opportunity to learn, you'll never get a better opportunity. I mean, the experiences that you get on the corporate side, I mean, it puts you in a position where you see things a little bit differently. Now, you do have to be able, you have to be able to manage the corporate environment, but it's a huge opportunity for those who want to do that. And for me, I mean, hell, if I can do it, anybody can. Just like the rest of the guys.
Well, actually,
that
how
are
many
doing
years
it.
did you get on? How many did you?
I did
would you-
20.
20.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah, it's
in
crazy.
addition to Al's great career, your charitable work,
Hmm.
you do some stuff. You're with the Red Cross or chair of the Red Cross?
Yeah, I'm on the Red Cross board for the Greater St. Louis. I've been the past chair of the American Gas Association's Security Committee. I did that for about 4 years. And I'll be honest, that's really where I had an opportunity to learn the business, the industry. I got on a few committees and started doing the work in those committees, and I learned the industry, which helped me to come back and create the strategy for our security organization at Spire. So that was very helpful. I sit on the downtown SID. Probably missed. I was on the CMT board, Citizens
Mhm.
for Modern Transit, for a little while.
Mhm.
But all that stuff's impactful, and if you'll notice, it all has a public safety nexus or a safety nexus to it.
Sure.
Hey, Al, I
Yeah.
got something there. I got something if you're interested in. This summer, during the downtown summer violence detail,
Sure.
yeah, if you ever want to jump in and ride with me,
Mm-hmm.
get a firsthand view what's like down there, I think it'd be helpful.
Well,
bring your gun.
I always bring my gun, but I'm going to leave that to you, Jim. As you recall, we
I think it'd be fun. You jump in my car. It'd be good.
I think it'd be fun too. Afterwards.
Right afterwards.
Afterwards.
All right.
That's great.
Al, thanks a million, man.
Absolutely.
Thanks
for
It's been
coming
a
on.
great time. Thank you so much for coming by, Al.
Enjoyed it.
We
One of
can-
my favorite bosses of all times.
He is a great guy.
Way ahead of Spees.
oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Uh-oh.
Throw that out.
I'm just
there.
throwing it.
Oh,
I
Holy
just gotta make
cow.
Joe mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not upset about the dog incident anymore.
I appreciate that, John.
He forgave you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That was I appreciate what you did for me.
Good work, Al.
All
Thanks
right,
for coming
guys.
on,
Thanks, Al.
buddy.
thanks, Al.
Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
brother.
Bye.